Thank you for tuning in to Naijha Speaks. I'm Naijha Wright Brown, co-owner of the Land of Kush Vegan Soul Bistro in Baltimore and executive director of the Black Veg Society. Well, I guess some people do like it raw, so we're going to be talking about the benefits of eating raw and how it makes you feel. So today's guest is Samantha Salmon. She is promoting the Raw Food Health Empowerment Summit, and let's just see what this is all about.
Hi, I'm Samantha Salmon, Integrative Nutrition Coach and co-host of the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast. And I would like to personally invite you to join me Monday, October 4th through Wednesday, October 6th for the 2021 Raw Food Health Empowerment Summit, a 3-day virtual conference for raw food enthusiasts and health seekers with dozens of industry experts who are sharing their knowledge on how to eat clean, live a healthy lifestyle, and turn your passion into a career. We have topics ranging from detoxing strategies, menopause and the foods to eat to help with that transition, raw food joy and avoiding perfection, vegan pregnancy and dealing with cravings, starting and running a raw vegan business and finding work in a raw vegan business, and so much more. It's an event you're not going to want to miss out on, especially since you can watch from the comfort of your home or your office, and it's completely free. I'm so not kidding. Here on the Raw Food Health Empowerment Summit.com, you can claim your free ticket to watch every single one of our speakers at no cost during this live virtual event. It's an event you're definitely not going to want to miss out on. So I hope you'll join me for the 2021 Raw Food Health Empowerment Summit, Monday, October 4th through Wednesday, October 6th. Claim your free ticket today.
Nice. All right. Thank you for that, Samantha. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So now you're going to have to tell everybody about your journey. So let's get started. Who you are, how did your journey start?
Yeah, so my name's Samantha Salmon. I'm an integrative nutrition coach. And I got here basically because I grew up with my grandma, and my parents. My grandma lived with us. She was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And, I was like a nurse for her, like making sure that she ate on time, took all her pills. She took like 20 pills a day, and had to test her blood sugar every day. And that eventually graduated to getting insulin shots in her stomach. And that period didn't last long because eventually she was dying at home in our living room on hospice on a gurney. And that event was super traumatic for me. And I realized that food is so not worth that kind of pain and trauma. Like, she died a slow, painful death. And even when she was alive, living with diabetes, even though we did everything the American Diabetes Association said to do, I wouldn't consider that quality of life, having to take 20 pills a day and have to be a human pincushion,
Right.
So I pretty much decided that wasn't going to be my life. And when I graduated college in 2008, I moved to the Bay Area. And that's when I discovered Dr. Neil Barnard's book, Dr. Neil Barnard's Program for Reversing Diabetes, where he talks about you can reverse type 2 diabetes in 2 weeks on a whole foods plant-based diet. And I felt a lot of emotions reading that book.
Wow.
Because I was like, if we had known this, my grandma would have seen me graduate, because she died my first year of college and I went to my dream school, So anytime I say this story, sorry,
I understand. I totally get it. I'm the same way. So go ahead to do your thing.
Yeah. So I read his book, and at that time, it just had me, down the bunny hole, basically, of learning so much about plant-based nutrition and how the body works. And I read Dr. Doug Graham's 80-10-10 book. That's what got me into raw foods and understanding why raw foods takes it a step further and could be even more optimal for our health.
Right, because I'm going to ask that, why raw overcooked? Because a lot of people, when you think raw, you're just thinking salads and, salad solids, is that all it is? But what are the real benefits over, your cooked vegetables and food?
Yeah. So we could go into that if you want.
Yeah, please.
All right. So for me, like, there are a variety of different benefits to raw foods. For me, at first, it was I get to eat as much as I want and still maintain a healthy weight, right? And not keep excess fat on, because you're eating foods that are rich in water and rich in fiber. Then also, when you cook food over 120 degrees, you kill enzymes. Enzymes, help to digest the foods that we're eating. That's why when we eat cooked food, we get tired after. In our community, we call it the itis. But after you eat raw foods, you don't really have that experience, because the raw foods basically digest themselves. Now, people will say, well, your body has its own enzymes to help digest food, and that's true. However, after the age of 30, and I don't know if you realize this, but I experienced this even when I turned 30, my body was not the same.
Right. At 33, I found out my cholesterol was high. So yeah, a lot of things happened when I got into my 30s.
Yeah. So when you hit 30, you actually start to lose enzymes at, I believe, like it's 10% a year. So you're just helping the body. The raw foods basically digest themselves with the enzymes. And so it takes less energy from the body. So you have energy. And from a digestion perspective, I've had a history of acid reflux, and eating raw foods is really helpful for that because of the enzymes. Also, a raw food diet has the lowest AGEs of any diet that's out there. AGEs are advanced glycation end products, which are basically lipids and proteins that get glycated when they're exposed to sugar. So that just means, like, when they're exposed to sugar, they bind with the sugar. And this develops or worsens degenerative diseases like chronic kidney disease, atherosclerosis, which is plaque in the arteries, Alzheimer's, and also diabetes. So, most of the clients that I work with, their goal is to increase energy, reverse type 2 diabetes, and release excess fat. And the fastest and most effective way to do that is with a high raw vegan diet. So,
what are you eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? That's raw. So what is your daily meal plan look like?
Yeah. So for breakfast, it could be a juice. Like me personally, I could tell you what I ate last week. I would start with a juice, and then I would have a smoothie after. And for lunch, I would have a huge salad. So a pound of greens. I would put some lentils in there, quinoa, and a really nice dressing. And sometimes it's a simple dressing where I'm just seasoning with apple cider vinegar, olive oil, and lots of different spices. Or it could be a more complex dressing that I'm making with cashew butter or tahini or something like that, for like something thicker and creamier. But yeah, that's basically, yes, we are eating salads.
I was gonna, because so that's what I was curious, because when I'm out in the field, that's the one thing people are, going vegan and plant-based is one thing. It's like, what are you gonna eat? It's just gonna be salads. And so now we're talking about raw, and a lot of it mostly is going to be salads. Is that what it is?
Well, greens, you're not going to get much calories from. So the greens are.
And that's why people are hungry. A lot of times, even with the vegan diet, people saying that I just came from a festival, and the first thing someone said was like, I'm more hungrier and I got to eat more. So with the raw diet, is that,
you're
definitely
getting your calories from bananas, mangoes, nut butters, so you're doing a lot of fruits, right? But you also want to have the salad because it's helpful, right? There's minerals in there that's really helpful. It's great for digestion. For some people, they feel good eating fruit all day, and that's fine. That's kind of where I tweak with folks, because when I work with people, I'm trying to find within this framework of the optimal diet for humans, what works best for you, because we're all unique petri dishes, right? So what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. My body feels better on 10% or less of calories from fat. For other people, they may need a little bit more fat, right? Like if you're really super active, or maybe you're a man with a high metabolism and you're eating one meal a day, so your fat content is probably going to be a little different, and your meals are going to look a little different. So there's a lot of variety even within that.
And so for dinner, so for breakfast, you have your smoothie and or juice, and then what are you having at lunch? A salad, like you said, the quinoa, and then for dinner,
Lentils, you could do beans. I mean, it
okay,
doesn't have to be boring at all. The way most people make a salad is quite boring. And
okay,
yes, I would not eat that.
okay,
I remember
okay.
I remember going to a family funeral, and the salad that they made there. I mean, first of all, it was like the size of my palm, the salad. Meanwhile, the main dish is so huge, all this chicken, everything, but the salad is like, it should actually be flipped.
Right, right. I've learned eating salad last with meals. Like I usually save the salad for last if I'm eating a cooked meal, because when you talk about the enzymes, and I have learned that from someone. I think I was eating at a Japanese restaurant, and they were saying in Canada we eat the salad last because it breaks down and it helps the digestive system, which was
So
interesting.
for a fat loss, and Dr. Greger talks about this in his book, How Not to Diet, but he encourages, and I agree, to eat the salad first, because this is your most nutritious meal at dinner time, because it is rich in fiber, rich in water. Water is super important. Water, it helps all of the metabolic functions in our body work optimally, right?
Okay,
Um, so you eat that first, so you fill up on the healthy stuff first,
I
and
got it.
then you eat whatever else.
Okay,
That's number one. Number two, in the raw food world, we like to load up on fruit first and then go into the salad, because you want to get your calories in. That those sugars from the fruits and things give you the energy to power through your day, and keep you satisfied and full. But you still want to have the greens just for proper digestion, get that fiber in and all that.
what are some of the challenges that you face advocating for this type of lifestyle? Because I know advocating for plant based and vegan lifestyle has its own challenges. So now we're adding raw to it. What are the challenges amongst promoting in the community and also amongst your peers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there in the fight with you. Seriously, I follow Naijha Speaks. I watch, and I'm there. I've been active in the food policy scene, and you know, I'm advocating for access to fresh fruits and vegetables. When I talk to my family members, they're telling me, the folks that aren't already eating this way, they're telling me that I would love to just snap my fingers and eat this way. But, access financially and physically is an issue. And then secondly, money, just money overall. One of my episodes that we talked about on the Raw Food Health Empowerment podcast was Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And when people are worried about paying their rent, and just filling their stomach and their kid's stomach, like with anything, raw foods and optimizing nutrition is not really at the forefront. So where I've been focusing my efforts is on creating the environment for health to happen, which means, folks like yourself who have healthy food businesses, how can we grow that? How can we support more of that? How can we have more juice bars, more salad bars, And for me, because I'm coming from that aspect, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be 100% vegan, because there's a journey. The vegan movement is growing. People are getting more conscious, more plant-based companies are coming to the forefront. And, I see that's growing. So I feel really good and with that. And I have faith that's going to continue to grow. But until we get to a tipping point where it completely takes over everyone's diets, a company like, for example, Sweet Green, I really like this company. I mean, I remember working downtown LA, and like, I didn't bring my food, and that would be the place I would go to get my salad, and I could have it curated however I want. And there are other salad places like that in New York and in some of these other big cities. but growing more of that, like Sweet Green is not 100% vegan business, but they are plant focused, and we need more of that. We need accessibility. We need, there's just a lot of work to be done, to be honest. There's the education piece, but also the financial piece, racial wealth equity. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of moving components to this whole conversation.
Yeah, I agree. So, how do you best think as a community we pivot? What is the best way to pivot? Is it through the health summit, which I'm going to share the website, and we can
Yes.
start talking about some of the people that you're going to have at this summit. So we have it here, and yep, people, it pops up. You can claim the ticket there. I'm going to scroll down. We got the beautiful intro of what this summit is going to be about, but let's talk about some of the guest speakers. Do you want to speak to some of the folks that are going to be talking at the summit?
Yeah, so my intention with this summit, if you Google raw summits, there is no diversity at all. So my first intention was I want to create a diverse summit, not so primarily so people can see themselves, but I also want to show people that the raw food community is a diverse one. I've been in spaces where Black people who actually say they care about the Black community and their health tell me that um, veganism is white and all this stuff. And I'm like offended because, my family's from Jamaica. The Rastas were ITAL before veganism was even coined a term, And so,
Right, I was going to say that. Like we've, from the Seventh Day Adventists to the Rastafarians, it's this terminology, and I know what the belief is because the terminology was birthed by a white man. It's kind of like it's white, and people, color, Black folks, they're kind of tired of this whole colonial lifestyle. So I know what it is. Yeah. I know why it's being said.
That part too, the colonial. We talk about that. Khadija, that's on that page, she's one of the speakers. We're talking about decolonizing the diet. So this whole summit is to show the diversity in the space, show the journey of how people got here. Raw vegans are not just hippies, like they have like real life stories of how they got to this place where they found fruits and vegetables, and it's been life-changing on a mental, emotional, and physical level. And we have some, OGs on the summit, like Karen Calabrese of Karen's Raw. She's been in the raw food world as an entrepreneur for over 40 years. And I was able to ask her some entrepreneur-like questions, which was super fun. Tabitha James, who you see on here, she's written children's books.
Oh, nice.
And this was like one of the shortest interviews of the summit, but it was one of the most powerful and inspiring for me, because as I'm thinking about creating a culture of health and creating a healthier generation, right, that affects all of us. Because right now, like globally, we're all being affected by the misunderstanding of how the body works and the power of nutrition, right? Most of us are clueless on how our body works. And what she's doing with utilizing children's books is just, I find so powerful. And she breaks down exactly how you can go about doing that. If you want to write a children's book, to plant a seed, she goes through that, how you could do that.
Yeah, there's a few people that I know on here. Gary Whitaker, we finished up. We worked on a Keep It Fresh Day Fest. So, and I'm working on interviewing him. Khadijah Holmes, I see her there. Stephanie Redcross, awesome. Yeah, so this is going to be fabulous. What else can we expect? So I know it's going to be running those 3 days, and if people miss it, they can opt into a package where they can have access to it afterwards, right?
Yes, and that package, the All Access Pass, you get the audio downloads if you want to download them and listen to them in the car. You get the transcripts. You also have the opportunity to get the notes. So like a Cliff Notes version of the summit. We make it really easy and accessible for everyone. However it is that you like to consume content, but primarily this space is a space of inspiration and motivation on your journey wherever you are. And not everyone on the summit is vegan. And so I open up the summit with that, is that all is welcome in this space, because there are food entrepreneurs that support the raw food lifestyle. They own juice bars. They own, different restaurants that make the raw food lifestyle possible. Just like, we have farmers who aren't necessarily vegan, but they make the food that we eat possible. I want to uplift and appreciate them as well, because we get to reap the benefits of their hard work. And I know from my personal experience running a juice bar, it is hard work.
Oh yeah. I wanted to talk to you about that story. I didn't realize that. I mean, as you know, we got the Atlantic Kush, so anything in food service, serving food, beverages, drinks is always challenging. People come in, oh, I like to cook, I like to juice, I like to, make stuff, until now it's a business, and now you got customers come in, and now everyone has feedback, and everyone knows how you should be running the business, and so it just becomes like, oh, this, I got to deal with all of this too. So talk about your story in it.
Yes, it was something. So we opened Earth Healing Cafe in Chicago in January 2011. It was like right after that huge snowstorm. And it was quite a journey. There were highs and lows throughout the whole thing. Like the highs were just, attracting a community of like-minded people who are into nutrition. All our customers were not all vegan, but they loved and appreciated fresh fruits and vegetables, getting that influx of nutrition in. And of course, there was a lot of vegans there, and mind conscious people, because when you get into this raw food lifestyle, it goes even beyond the physical. After you get the physical benefits, the emotional, mental, it gets into the spiritual, and even those conversations are so interesting.
Right. Yes.
Even like talking to Gary, you mentioned from
yes.
Fitness, the way he explains his journey into this, and the meaning to, like, everything just has like you just feel so connected to life and God's purpose and all of that. So with the store, but the store, it was difficult because you're working with perishable product. All our stuff was organic, raw, vegan. So you're talking about, we have no additives, right? So there's really very short shelf life, and there's only so much margin you can put on it, and you have to have, it's labor intensive, this work. Right. So it's pressure. You don't get financing unless, you've been operating for a while, right? Banks don't lend you money until you already have the money.
And not at that time in 2011, because that's when we opened, and the financial mortgage crisis was still looming over us, because I remember we opened January 2011, so I remember that time.
Yeah.
we were self-funded. We didn't have any loans. We used our life savings.
And most food businesses are, and definitely that's why I interviewed Karen. So if you're inspired to open up a food business, which I'm not going to discourage you from doing that. What I would encourage you to do is to talk to people like Naijha and myself, and listen to the summit, listen to Karen, to get an understanding and emotionally, mentally wrap yourself around what that lifestyle is like. Because, I did this with my husband, and we were in our 20s, and there was no life. Like,
there was no vacations.
There was no vacation.
I almost got divorced because I couldn't take a vacation. So I already know, like, it is laborious. All caps. Labor intensive.
Yeah. But I was my fittest, let me tell you, because picking up 40-pound boxes of bananas, I mean, I was in the best shape ever. And then 2014, we expanded. We ended up with 2 locations, and we had up to 14 staff members by the time we decided to call it quits, because it's a long story, but basically, ultimately, like Chicago, we opened a business in Chicago and realized we cannot stand the cold. So when you're business planning, make sure that the city you pick, we thought it would be great just financially and for profitability and all this kinds of stuff. We thought the market was great and all this, which it was, but we didn't want to stay there, and we ended up moving to LA after that. And LA is popping when it comes to this. I mean, there's a juice bar on every block.
Yes.
So
So yeah, we loved it out there. Can't wait to get back. So that was that was a piece of advice that you're giving us about the business. Is there anything else that you wanted to let us know? And talk about the raw food meal planner, because we're talking about the summit, but what is the raw food meal planner.com? What is that about?
yeah, so I started the raw food meal planner like probably a little bit before we opened the second store. And that's because I really liked using meal plans, right? So I was into
Wait a minute, you said you opened a second store, so you had the second store was in LA, right?
yeah.
Is that one still
No, it
operating?
was in Chicago.
In Chicago, that was the second store. Okay.
Yeah. So I was utilizing Spark People. So Spark People was the inspiration for folks who are on their weight loss journey. They may know Spark People. They had meal plans, and I was able to get a vegan one. But there was so many things I had to switch out. Like I wasn't doing the oatmeal, I wasn't doing the breads, because when I first went vegan, that's the part of the story I didn't get to share. I gained a lot of weight. And so,
Let's talk
yeah,
about that. You gained a lot of weight. Why?
because I did not like vegetables. And so
you had me highlight that because you didn't like vegetables.
When you go vegan and you don't like vegetables, the bulk of the diet ends up being bread and pasta and stuff like that. And that bread, yes, that for me, like I'm visibly bigger after 4 or 5 days of eating bread.
Wow. So see, I'm cutting that all out. Like I'm moving away from that. Yeah, I'm being honest with you because you are right. It the bread and all that stuff. So go ahead, because I'm on my journey to detox and try to do a 1 day to 3 day detox. And I'm going to ask you something about that.
We talk about that on the summit too. We're going into detoxification. Matt breaks that down. And Matt also, I had him on my podcast talking about how to really upgrade your salads, because I think there's a lot of education that's needed around that. If people knew how to put a meal together and make it a salad, it could change the game for like everybody, But yeah, so Spark People was inspiration. I decided to create my own raw meal plan, so I wouldn't have to go to Spark People anymore. And that's when I created Raw Food Meal Planner. So on the site right now, there's a full year free of raw vegan meal plans. And then you also have high raw meal plans, because high raw is basically most of your calories from the that you're consuming in the day is coming from raw foods, but you're not completely raw. So you're doing your juices, smoothies, whatever, but you're having a cooked dinner, maybe some sweet potato or, some rice and peas for my Jamaicans out there, or some quinoa, whatever, whatever you want to eat. So you have that versatility there, and it's all free on the website. And that was basically how it all got started.
Okay. Oh, and that's good, because I'm going to go there and I'm going to download mine. Yeah, what you said is a very important thing about the starch and things like that, not eating your veggies as a vegan, and then understanding why you actually blow up.
Yeah, and we're not anti-starch. It's really the gluten. And
the gluten. Okay,
right.
The gluten.
Affected. But most of us, from what I've noticed with the clients I work with, if you identify as a person of color, you're most likely affected. And so if you take the bread out, you just see the difference.
Okay. Yep. And you're so right, because that's what I'm working on. I used to be a big bagel person, and now it's like I'm not doing all of that, and I'm trying to avoid a lot of the gluten, and just to see how that works. How best can we follow you? So again, before we get out of here, I want to make sure everyone that's tuning in sign up for the free Raw Food Health Power Summit.com. It's in the comments, so you can click on that and you can sign up. It's free. If you're not available to see all the summit, then you can get this special VIP package where you have access to the talks. And I think it's worth it. Definitely. I've signed up for those packages before. We have some comments. Hi, Tom. How are you? Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support. Anything else you want to add or say, and how best can we follow you?
Yes. Well, yeah, like you said, definitely tune into the Raw Food Health Empowerment Summit and dip your toe in the raw food waters, just to even see and hear these people speak. I'm pretty sure it will spark something in you. And I am the Raw Food Meal Planner on all social media platforms. On Twitter, I'm Raw Food Meal Plan. And so you can follow me there. I have a podcast, the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast. So yeah, we talk about all of this on a weekly basis.
So for the viewers out there and those that are watching, that plan to watch the replay, if you are ready for a healthier and more fulfilling life, please register for this Raw Food Health Empowerment Summit that's running from October 4th to the 6th. It is free. You see it. Register for the free summit. And we'll bring someone on to talk about their story. How about that? Yeah. I'm definitely going to be joining in. Thank you, Samantha. It is always a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. No reason not to go vegan. Everyone's not going overnight. We still have a lot of work to do. Vegans are still in the minority, and we're going to meet people where they are, whether it's raw, whether it's a little cooked, whether it's all fruits, whether it's all veggie. We're going to get there. All right. So thanks again, everyone. Share. And like. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Stay back, Samantha.